Hi, welcome to Utah ADV. My name is Eric Young, and I'll be your host and producer of this series, this YouTube channel that I'm putting together. This is an extension of a blog that I've kept, a moto blog that I've kept for, about 10 years now. And what I'm realizing is not many people really like to read much anymore, so I've decided to go more with the visual medium here and produce content that might get you excited about riding a motorcycle, especially excited about coming out to Utah. Utah ADV is the name of it, and with the whole underlying idea that probably the best motorcycle riding, at least in the North American continent, is right here in this great state. So while I'll be chronicling some of that, I've done a lot of it, and I'll be throwing back to some of my trips there. Not long and not miles of footage of a handlebar mounted GoPro, but just a few ideas as to where to find some spectacular riding in Utah, and to get through that quickly with a few tips and ideas as far as camping and trails and those kinds of things. But really, what this whole channel is dedicated towards is the prep and the ride that my daughter and I are getting ready to take this summer, the summer of 2020, which is right on the heels of that nasty, terrible coronavirus. And so we're being flexible and trying to see how we're going to be tackling this as we get ready to roll. The plan is to roll in June. My daughter will be joining me on this. She happens to be in the military, and right now they have certain restrictions going on as well. So we'll see what's going to happen with this as we start pulling things together. But we thought maybe you would like to come along for the ride as far as our prep is concerned. So the channel is going to be broken down. Each show will be broken down into certain segments that way. One segment, it's what's in the box. What's in the box? As far as the panniers are concerned, there, what it is that we're traveling and camping with and cooking with and keeping warm and all that kind of stuff. And there's quite a bit there to go through. Not your average everyday gear review. Hopefully it'll be something that you can find useful. And speaking of which, this is all done on a budget. I am not independently wealthy. I'm not even wealthy. I'm fortunate to have led a good career, which I retired from. I'm a retired professor. I still teach a little bit. I'm teaching at a charter school, and the thing I teach is film production, which might explain a little bit about some of the production quality that you might be seeing throughout this show. Broadcasting and social media is what I've been teaching in for the last 25 years. As well. So I thought maybe, why not give it a shot and get into something that's more visual oriented, especially with all the technology that's around. But the technology that I'm using right now, I'm recording on an iPhone 8. Gosh, it'll be nice to get an iPhone 11. Maybe that'll happen here before too long. I have a Hero Plus GoPro that was a gift from my sweet wife years ago, and I might need to upgrade that. Anyway, we'll see. Anyway, I've been thumping around the state of Utah for about the last 8-9 years now. I started off with a Kawasaki Thumper, a KLR 650 of the Pig, and did a full build on that, and I can give you some background. Again, there's a website dedicated to the Kawasaki build. And then I got into a Triumph 800XC. The one that I have right here is a 2013, and I've put about 10,000 miles on it in the last year as far as traveling throughout the state of Utah. I used to commute back and forth between northern Utah and southern Utah while I was still teaching at the university down there and living up here. I did that for a couple of years. And in that commute, I would camp out on the high desert on the Arizona Strip, or just about any place I could find that I could pitch a tent and spend the night. So there's some experience there. There's some experience with gear there, and trying to work out things that make living on a motorcycle a little bit easier, especially when my livelihood at the time kind of depended on it. Well, I could have done other things, and I did other things. I have an overland vehicle that I built. I built 3 overland vehicles as well, and I'll talk about those as we get into this, get into different gear, and how a lot of that experience kind of translated into motorcycle adventure, packing and riding, and what's going on with that. We also lived off of ocean kayaks for a while, and all this kind of stuff comes together and helps define how we meet the needs that we have on the road. How everything has to serve more than one purpose, really, in order for it to qualify to make it on the bike. And those words will probably come back and bite me a little bit later on as I go through the gear review. But for the most part, everything's been very carefully selected and weighed and packed. So we have still room within the panniers, regardless of how long the trip's going to be. The Pacific Northwest trip that we're getting ready for is 3,500 miles roughly over the course of 10, 15 days. And the idea there is to pack as light as possible. You've seen this, I've seen this, maybe it's you that I'm talking to, but it's amazing how much stuff people pack onto an adventure motorcycle that really its first purpose is to go off-road and to be tossable and to work with the suspension and to do all the kinds of things that a dual sport motorcycle needs to do. And the more stuff we put in it, the more weight we put on, the more limiting our suspension travel becomes, and you know, the harder it is for it to maneuver it around tight spots that you will get into here in Utah. So anyway, I'm rambling on at this point. Let's see, the other motorcycle I've got is a Triumph also. It's in the same livery. It's a Triumph 1200 XC. It's a Tiger XC, the Explorer. It's a 2014 and this one's a 2013. And they were both purchased under $7,000 each there. And have been maintained well by not only by myself, but by a good mechanic that I have in Salt Lake City, the Triumph dealer there too. So again, this is all in light of trying to go through and keep things without breaking the bank. The real world, the real person's approach, I guess, maybe to overlanding, to adventure motorcycle riding. Sometimes those two cross over in my mind together. So I'm hoping you have something here to watch after this pilot episode for the YouTube channel. We'll get into what's in the barn. I'll get more detail as far as the motorcycles are concerned and what's packed into them and the tires and any kind of modifications that have been made to make the going a little bit easier and maybe a little bit more durable that way, and packing, those kinds of things. And then we'll get into what's in the box, what's packed in the panniers, and we'll talk about other types of approaches, maybe some motorcycle riding tips and ideas. Gosh, there's so many more qualified people out there. Brett Tax, for example, on Mototech, has an amazing YouTube channel. If you get a chance, that's the place I go through and see and learn and see what's going on. So I hope you stay with us. If you're more inclined to take a look at our website, please feel free to go there. Utah ADV Moto, UTADVmoto.com is where you could find all of the build threads for not just the motorcycles, but for the overland trucks that I've done, as well as all the adventures that I'll be recapping in episodes to come. All right. So thanks for joining me. You can subscribe if you like. If you don't like, don't do it. I'm not going to go through and beg you to go through and point up there where that subscription button is going to be. If you do have something to say, though, I'm really happy to go through and listen and see what you've got. Please keep it nice, though, if you wouldn't mind. And if you have anything there in particular you'd like us to cover, I'd be happy to go through and do that too. So looking forward to seeing you on more episodes of Utah ADV. Thanks for watching.